Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanandi Haribo, Jayom Vishnupad, Paramahansa Padavraja Acharya Asatar Satashish. ISKCON BBT founder, Acharya Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitya Lila Prabhupada Om Vishnupad Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sakahosh Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopada Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Brajamubadam Ki Jai. Shri Navadip Mayapurdam Ki Jai. Shri Chao Jagannath Puridam Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Srimati Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Their most beautiful lordship Shri Rukmini Dwarkadish Ki Jai. Shri Rukmini Dwarkanath Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ki Jai. Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Going back to home, back to Godhead Ki Jai. ISKCON Los Angeles Yatra Ki Jai. Brihad Madanga Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. International Food for Life. Transcendental Prasadam Distribution Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nittai Gaur Premanandi Hari Haribo. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Glory to Prabhupada. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Deving Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamatirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of God and Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, who is the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatittama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly attending the Srimad Bhagavatam class and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving devotional service unto the personality of God, whose worship with transcendental songs becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're continuing our reading from the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 18, Parikshit Cursed by a Brahmin Boy. And today's text should be 23, right? Okay. Ahang hi prishto aryamano bhavadbhir achaksha atma bhagamo atra Yavan Navaha Patanti Atma Samam Patitrinas Tata Samam Vishnu Gatim Vipashchitaha Ahangi Prishto Ramano Bhavadbhir Achaksha Atma Bhagamotrayavan Navak Patantyatma Samang Patatrinas Tata Samang Vishnu Gatim Vipashitaha Ahang Hi Prishto Ramano Bhavadbhir Achaksha Atma Bhagamotrayavan Navak Patantyatma Samang Patatrinas Tata Samang Vishnu Gatim Vipashitaha Ahang Hi Prishto Ramano Bhavadbhir Achaksha Atma Bhagamotrayavan Nabhak Patantyatma Samang Patatrinas Tata Samang Vishnu Gating Vipashitaha. Please chant. Vipashitaha. Ahang hi prishtor amano bhavadbir achaksha atma vagamotrayavan nabak patantyatma samang patatrinas tata samang vishnu gatim vipashitaha. Ahang hi prishtor yamano bhavadbir achaksha atma vagamotrayavan Ahang hi prishtor yamano bhavadbir achaksha atma vagamotrayavan nabak patantyatma samang patatrinas tata samang vishnu gating vipashita. Vaishnavis. Ahang hi prishtor yamano bhavadbir achaksha atma vagamotrayavan navak patantyatma samang patatrinas tata samang vishnu gating vipashitaha. Ahang hi prishtor yamano bhavadbir achaksha atma vagamotrayavan nabak patantyatma samang patatrinas tata samang vishnu gatim vipashita. Word meanings. Aham, my humble self. He, certainly. Prishtaha, asked by you. Aryamanaha, as powerful as the sun. Bhavadbihi, by you. Achakshe, may describe. Atma avagamaha, as far as my knowledge is concerned. Atra, herein. Yavan, So far. Nabaha, sky. Patanti, fly. Atmasamam, as far as it can. Patatrinaha, the birds. Tatha, thus. Samam, similarly. Vishnu gatim, knowledge of Vishnu. Vipashitaha, even though learned. Srila Prabhupada's translation for this verse: O Rishis, who are as powerfully pure as the sun, I shall try to describe to you the transcendental pastimes of Vishnu as far as my knowledge is concerned. As the birds fly in the sky as far as their capacity allows, so do the learned devotees describe the Lord as far as their realization allows. Please repeat. O Rishis, who are as powerfully pure as the sun, I shall try to describe to you the transcendental pastimes of Vishnu as far as my knowledge is concerned. As the birds fly in the sky, as far as their capacity allows, so do the learned devotees describe the Lord as far as their realization allows. So Prophet's purport. The supreme absolute truth is unlimited. No living being can know about the unlimited by his limited capacity. The Lord is impersonal, personal, and localized. By his impersonal feature, he is all-pervading Brahman. By his localized feature, he is present in everyone's heart as the supersoul. And by his ultimate personal feature, he is the object of transcendental loving service by his fortunate associates, the pure devotees. The pastimes of the Lord in different features can only be estimated partly by the great learned devotees. So, Srila Sutta Goswami has rightly taken this position in describing the pastimes of the Lord as far as he has realized. Factually, only the Lord himself can describe himself, and his learned devotee also can describe him as far as the Lord gives him the power of description. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Tilamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvashesha Shunyavani Pashachadeshtarne Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtang Stapitang Jaina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandehang Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangsha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Ragana Tanvatam Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Purjana Sayatam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvatangsha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishavanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripre Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhuva Evacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, being a Brahmana, Sutta Goswami is speaking honestly. This is one of the qualities of a Brahmana. A Brahmana has to be truthful. So he's saying, I will describe to you, not that, hey, I'm going to blow your mind and tell you things you've never heard before. I am going to speak to you according to my realization of the subject matter, which is Vishnu, Krishna. And we should take this to heart. We should never try, at least in our line, it's stressed, don't overstep your bounds. Whatever you've learned from your spiritual master, that's what you pass on. Prabhupada used to stress, don't be over-intelligent. Don't try to supersede your spiritual master in any way. Then you become immediately useless, asara, useless. Don't try to step over the spiritual master, just like those who think they can give themselves initiation from Srila Prabhupada after he's left. That's stepping over. That's not the way our Sampradaya works. Why stop with Srila Prabhupada then? Why not take initiation from Rupa Goswami or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself? You know, you can't do that. You have to follow the sampradaya that you're initiated in or want to be initiated in. Sampradaya vahirame manchaste nishpalam spriham. That if you don't receive your mantra in sampradaya, coming in disciplic succession, then it's useless. And so are all your activities. If they're not bona fide, if they're not sanctified and by the sampradaya that you're supposed to be attached to, then it's useless. Just a disturbance in society, Rupa Goswami says. So here, Sutta Goswami is not being a disturbance. He's not being useless. He's not being presumptuous. He's saying, I'm going to relate to you what I have heard according to my realization. So there are three things. There's Gyan, knowledge. Vigyan, which is applied knowledge. And then there's this realized knowledge, realization. So a simple way to explain it, the way I usually speak in colleges when I speak there, is chocolate cake, because they can relate to it. So if somebody gives you a recipe for making chocolate cake, now you have the knowledge. But you don't have Vigyan, realized knowledge. Realized knowledge is when you go into the kitchen, you take all the ingredients that are listed in that recipe, the flour, the sugar, the chocolate, the butter, and you put it all together and you put it in the oven. According to Sampradaya, 375 or whatever the Sampradaya says, whatever it says there, you set that oven to that temperature, you put it in there for the time that the Sampradaya recommends, 40 minutes or whatever it is, and then lo and behold, when the timer goes off, you have a chocolate cake. So now you have realized knowledge. You have practical application of the knowledge. But then realization comes when you actually cut that cake, offer it to Krishna, and then you eat it. Then you realize what chocolate cake is. Up until then, it's still theoretical. Even though you've applied the knowledge to make the cake, if you never taste the cake, then it remains theoretical. So it's like that with spiritual knowledge. First, we acquire Gyan from the spiritual master. Reading Prabhupada's books, or those who were fortunate enough, like Vishaka Mataji is here, heard a lot directly from Srila Prabhupada. So this is Gyan. Then when you actually put it into practice, Prabhupada says, do this, don't do that. So when you follow those recommendations, then you're practically applying that knowledge. And if you stick to that process of applying the knowledge according to the orders of the spiritual master, then you get the realization, you get the prayojana, the fruit of that knowledge. Those of you who are brahmanas know that when you make the offering, it's recommended in the Arcana Padati, you recite one verse. You make some noise before you go into the deity room, you call out the name of the deities, and then you recite this verse to the spiritual master. Shri Guru Paramananda Premananda Palapada Brajananda Prajananda Sevayam Manayojaya. I don't know if that's how we were trained here back in the 70s. I don't know if they still do that. But that verse is important. It says, O my spiritual master, who gives the highest fruit in the form of blissful love of Godhead. See, this is what the spiritual master is giving us. The knowledge and the path by which we can attain blissful love of Godhead. Please engage me in the blissful service of Sri Krishna, who gives bliss to the land of Braja. That's what that verse means. So we're supposed to recite that before we go on the altar and make an offering. And this is what the spiritual master gives. The spiritual master gives the knowledge and the recommendations, the path by which one can realize that knowledge and come to the fruit, the prayojana of blissful love of Godhead. So many of you are aware that the GBC just recently said that they're going to no longer block women from becoming gurus in ISKCON. And that's created a big brouhaha on the internet. There's the for camp, there's the against camp, and they're shooting arrows at each other. So when I first went online and read it, the very first comment I saw, somebody said, well, conditioned souls can't deliver conditioned souls. Yeah, that's true. Conditioned souls cannot deliver conditioned souls. But guess what? Even pure souls can't deliver conditioned souls. Only Krishna can deliver. Krishna is the only one that can deliver anyone from the material realm. Not even Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva is Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu. He's the topmost of all Vaishnavas. So if he can't deliver you, if he can't give you liberation, who can? Only Krishna. Not Lord Brahma, not Lord Shiva, and not even the pure devotees. What the pure devotees can do is give you the means by which you can become attract Krishna's attention. By making you take to the path of pure devotional service, you can attract Krishna's attention. And then when Krishna is pleased, he can give you liberation. But no jiva can liberate another jiva. So then you may say, well, what about, because Krishna, Prabhupada said, stressed several times that there are three types of perfect beings. The Nityasiddha, who never fell into illusion. The Sadhanasiddha, who comes back to the perfectional stage by following sadhana strictly. And the Kripasiddha. So Prabhupada explained once what Kripasiddha means. Kripasiddha means that you don't really deserve. You don't really deserve, but by the blessing of the spiritual master or Krishna, you get liberated. So that seems to indicate that the spiritual master can give liberation. But no, Prabhupada made it clear again, only Krishna can give liberation. Only Krishna can give liberation. The pure devotees can set us on the path of liberation. They can remove the obstacles if we surrender to them. But ultimately, it's up to Krishna. It's up to Krishna. Krishna is Swarad. He's completely independent. He does not have to do this or not do that, or he does whatever he wants, whenever he wants. That's what makes him God. The rest of us are dependent on Krishna, on Krishna's mercy. Even if we come back to the pure stage, we think, well, I'm a pure devotee. Krishna is not obliged to give us liberation. Sometimes he deliberately keeps the pure devotees in the material world. He doesn't give them. Who can think of an example? Arjuna is one, yes. One time one devotee wrote to Srila Prabhupada and asked, you say that when Krishna's pastime starts here in this earth planet, then the very next moment it starts somewhere else and it's just going on like that. So the devotee wrote and asked, is it the same Arjuna that accompanies Krishna? And Prabhupada wrote back and said, yes. So you can just imagine. By Krishna's grace, Arjuna expands to go along with Krishna in all of his different pastimes. But there's also in Krishna Leela himself, Krishna himself, he kept his parents, Sutapa, and Prishni, then Aditi and Kashyapa, and then Devaki and Vasudeva. So he kept them in the material world, even though they were pure. You can't have Krishna as your son if you're not a pure devotee. So even though they were pure devotees, he kept them here. So it's not that because I become a pure devotee again, or I never, then you get liberated. No, the liberation is up to Krishna. And the pure devotees think like that. They don't demand liberation from Krishna. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, as you know, has sung, make me even an insect in the home of the devotee. I'm not begging you for liberation. Lord Chaitanya also says, Mama Janmani Janmanishwari. Now we can't imitate that prematurely. Sometimes devotees will have that attitude that, since Lord Chaitanya says, Janmani, okay, so I'll get out of here whenever. No, Prabhupada said, get serious, get out of here now, finish your business in this lifetime. Yes, once you get back to the pure stage and you're engaged in blissful service of the Lord, then it doesn't matter. Narayana Paraksarvena Katashin Bibati. Swarga Pabarga Narakeshu. Apitul Yarta Darshana. Those who are Narayana Parayana, they're actually fully surrendered to the Lord and actually engaged in blissful devotional service to the Lord. It doesn't matter to them whether they're in hell or heaven or the spiritual world. It doesn't matter. They're going to do the same thing. Prabhupada gave the example of a typewriter. He says a typewriter, you type on it, cut, 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 and it'll do the same thing whether it's in hell or in the earth planet or in the heavenly planet or in Vaikuntha. It's a typewriter. It's going to act like a typewriter wherever it is. So pure devotees are like that. They're going to engage in pure devotional service wherever they are. Whether they're in the hellish planets or on the earth or in the heavenly planets or in the spiritual world, they're going to be doing the same thing. So, yes, a conditioned soul cannot free a conditioned soul, but that's not the point here. The point is, all of us are supposed to become a guru of some sort. If we take to this path that's been very laboriously given to us by Srila Prabhupada, we know the whole story is advanced age, coming across the ocean, having heart attacks, and going through. It's not that everything was handed to him on a silver platter immediately. He knew what the future was. He told that one gentleman that he met on the park bench that I have so many temples and so many followers, only time is separating. So he knew that it would come eventually. But still, on a day-to-day basis, he had to struggle just to get enough money in New York, cold atmosphere, to go out and buy enough rice and dal just to cook for himself. And how many of us here cook for yourself every single day? Put your hand up. One hand went up, two hands went up. It's not such an easy thing to get up every single day and everything you eat, you have to prepare yourself. But Prabhupada went through that for a long period of time. It's not that he had servants cooking for him, every day, his whole life. No. When he lived in Vrindavan alone before he came here, every day he would go to market, buy a little rice, a little atta, a little whatever, and go back to his Radha Damodar rooms and cook for himself. When he lived in Chandi Chowk, same thing. When he came here, same thing for quite some time. And then after some time, not only was he cooking for himself, he was cooking for all these young men and a few girls who eventually joined. He was cooking for them every day. Rice, dal, sabji, stacks of chapatis. And in the beginning, they were so out of it, they would eat and then get up and leave proper to clean up. Just imagine how tolerant pure devotee. Tolerant. So, this is what the pure devotee does. The pure devotee is Acharya. He sets the example, she sets the example of how to serve the Lord and gradually come back to the platform of blissful devotional service, which is what we should be hankering for. In the beginning stage, yes, it's like pulling a scab, it's a little painful to follow all the principles and to engage in some meaningful, practical devotional service. It's not easy. But we should know from the examples of the Shastra and from the urging of the spiritual master that if we stick to the process, we will come gradually back to that day where everything is blissful. Everything is blissful. That's what we should be hankering for. Shri Guru Paramananda Premananda Palaprada Brajananda Brajananda Sevayam Niyojaya. We should be wanting to be engaged in the blissful service of Sri Krishna, who gives bliss to everyone. That's Krishna's position. He gives bliss to everyone. We can't claim that. Even the pure devotees, we see, because people are conditioned, some of them got mad at Prabhupada. Why you take my child and make him a Hare Krishna? He was going to be a doctor. Prabhupada said, there are so many doctors. That was Madhusudan Prabhu. He was supposed to become a doctor. And my mother was a little upset. Prabhupada said, there are so many doctors. I'm going to make him a spiritual doctor. We need those. So we should know, if we stick to this path and allow Prabhupada to turn us all into spiritual doctors, then that's the success in life. And so Sutta Goswami here is again promising to speak according to his realization, not beyond that. Prabhupada would say, there are so many Sahajas in Vrindavan, they claim they saw Radha Krishna behind a bush last night, and then, no, in our line we don't say that. In our line we follow Rupa Goswami. Hey Radhe Brajadevaki Chalalite. Hey Nanda Sutta Goswami. Where are you? I'm looking for you everywhere. You see, but because they were so pure, Radharani came to them. Several occasions. Prabhupada told a story right here of how Rupa Goswami was thinking one day, because he saw his elder brother Sanatana Goswami like Guru. So he's thinking, if I had some means, I could make a nice piece for my brother, my Guru Sanatana Goswami. So he was thinking like that. And then, a few minutes later, a very beautiful young lady came and said, Baba, we had some function at my house, and my mother said, go and give this to some saintly person. So here, please take. And she gave rice and dal and flour and everything. And he was wondering, I'd never seen this girl before. Where are you from? Oh, I'm just from the village nearby. Don't worry, just take this. So he took all the ingredients and he made a nice feast and he called Sanatana Goswami. So Sanatana Goswami sat and, Rupa Goswami, you're living under a tree. Where did you get all these ingredients? So I said, I was thinking that if I had some ingredients, I could make a nice feast for you. And this very nice girl came and said there was some ceremony at their house and please take all the ingredients. So I took and made a feast. Said, describe her. Oh, she was very beautiful and she had long braid. Ah, Radharani. You took service from Radharani. We're trying to serve Radha Krishna. You're taking service. You're nonsense. Like that. Prabhupada laughed when he told the story. So this is our line. We want to serve Radha and Krishna. We don't want any service from them. We're not claiming that we're seeing them behind every bush in Vrindavan. Not like that. Speak according to your realization. And that realization should be obtained honestly. You hear the knowledge, jnana, from the spiritual master. You apply that knowledge. Now it's big jnana. And then if you keep applying that knowledge, then the bliss comes. The realization comes. Just like this young lady. I don't even know your name, but she was with us on Harinam last night. And she was distributing books. And you can see how happy it was making her. Yeah, she was distributing books. And you could see from her smile. I have pictures to prove. How she was having a lot of fun distributing books. For many devotees, this book distribution is difficult. It's not so easy to approach the public, but she was having a blissful time. So this is how it works. Why are you distributing books? Because this is what Prabhupada wants. Prabhupada wants us to distribute this knowledge. So if we do that, then automatically we please him and don't become over-intelligent. Just like there are some people in our society who claim that book distribution is so 60s and 70s, it's not making us any more successful. We should find that something else to do besides just jumping up and down on the street and distributing books. No! Prabhupada said, book distribution, prasadam distribution, harinam, these three things have to go on. They must go on, even if there are no temples, he said. Even if there are no temples, no deities, we can sit down under a tree at night and preach and go out and distribute literature. So these things are very important. You must do them. So anybody who claims that it's 60s, 70s and it's passé, no, they just don't. That means they don't understand. That means they're not in the mood of their spiritual master, which is a prerogative, it's a prerequisite for making advancement. You must catch up the mood of the spiritual master. So Prabhupada always stressed book distribution, prasadam distribution, harinam. And one has to be very careful. Our Mataji Nandini Radha, she gives Sunday Peace lectures sometimes. She gave a lecture once when Rameshwar was here. And she had just Googled, because she likes to make PowerPoint presentations, she just Googled some quotes and whatnot. So she put one quote on the board, and it was from a conversation Prabhupada was having with some disciples. And according to the quote she put on the screen, Prabhupada said, book distribution is one of our most important activities. But Rameshwar happened to be there in the room when Prabhupada made that statement, and that's not what Prabhupada said. Prabhupada said book distribution is our most important activity. So somebody who didn't agree took that quote and changed it and put it on the internet. Just imagine. This is the electronic age that we live in. That's the danger of just Googling things. Better you go to the books or the database. That's the best place to find what Prabhupada said. Not just Google stuff, because anybody can take anything out of the database, tweak it any way they want, and put it on the internet. This is going on. So I have to be very, very careful. To become guru, Prabhupada used to say very many times, it's not a difficult thing. Whatever your spiritual master has given you, you practice it, and then you teach it to others. Very simple. Just like the example used many times, the postal peon. The postal peon, or as we would say in America, the postman or post person nowadays, I guess you don't call them man anymore. They simply deliver the mail. Sometimes it's a summons or invitation to jury duty, and sometimes it's a check somebody sent you. It doesn't matter to them. They bring the mail, they put it in your box, whatever it is. So it's like that. Preaching means like that. Whatever you get from your guru, you hand it on exactly the same to others. Don't change it. Even if the news is bad, you're a nonsense, you're a rascal, conditioned soul. Prabhupada said it all the time. Some people can't take it, but we don't alter it. That's what Prabhupada said. Just like Prabhupada said about Krishna. He says, Namam Duskrishna Muda Prapadyante Naradama. Krishna says, these four kind of people don't surrender to me. He calls them rascals. He said, I'm not calling you a rascal. Krishna calls you a rascal. I'm just repeating what Krishna says. So it's the same thing. Whatever is there in Prabhupada's books, don't tone it down. Don't change it. Just hand it on to others. And Krishna is the super soul in the heart, just as we heard in today's purport. Three manifestations: impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and ultimately the Supreme Person. So as the localized Paramatma, Krishna will urge that soul. Just like everybody on the pier who heard the chanting last night, the seed has been planted. The seed has been planted. And they won't forget. few weeks ago, we did a high school program, actually two back to back. Palos Verdes Peninsula High School and then Palos Verdes High School. So the teacher at Peninsula High School, very, very nice young lady, Mindy Brewster. She always urges her students to write notes about their experience. So she sent me in the mail a packet of about 40 notes. It was a big class. And almost every one of them, first of all, thanks for the chanting. And many of them said, I like your chanting so much I can't get it out of my head. This is the power of chanting Hare Krishna. And I've said many, many times, when we go on Harinam, some people, they go like this. It's too late. The mantra already went in, and it will do the damage. So they all thank for the chanting, and they thank for the philosophy, but the most thanks they gave was for the cookies. Every one of them said, we love your cookies. The cookies are so nice. And Prabhupada said that. College preaching means you must distribute prasadam. You must. Because whatever preaching you do will go in one ear and out the other. But if you give them some nice prasadam, they'll always remember, oh, those nice Hare Krishnas gave me something to eat. And it's a fact. And it comes back in the future. I've told this story also, but some of the younger devotees maybe haven't heard. True story. You know, I lived for a few years in Alachua, and there was one devotee from that community. He tells a story. He went to a bank to get a mortgage to buy a house. Now, like many devotees, you know, his credentials were a little sketchy. Didn't have a long work history or a lot of money in the bank or etc., etc. So he got rejected. His application got rejected. And he was walking out the door, and the bank manager saw him and said, hey, you're a Hare Krishna. Were we able to help you today? And he said, no. He said, what did you want? He said, I wanted a mortgage loan, but I didn't get it. So the manager called him to his office, took the papers, approved. So he said, really, why? The manager said, you want to know why? He said, when I was a student, University of Florida, Gainesville, every day practically I ate your food. Since 75, I think, they've been distributing prasadam on that campus. 71. And so, all those students may not become devotees in this lifetime, but it has its effect. So this is what we should understand. The book distribution, the prasadam distribution, the Harinam, we may not in our lifetime see the tsunami of devotees, but it will come. This is Lord Chaitanya's prediction. It will come. Just chant my holy name in every town and village, and leave the rest up to me. It's not up to us. Just like as we said in the beginning, even if we're pure devotees, we can't liberate anybody. Only Krishna can liberate them. So when the time is ripe, there is going to be a tsunami of people joining this Hare Krishna movement. The seeds have been planted, and it will just take a little time for them to fructify. So, Sutta Goswami is again setting the example. Don't speak beyond the realization. Just repeat what you've heard and leave the rest up to Krishna. We can stop here. Any questions, comments? Yes, Ananda Kirtan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
I hear some people, they have a little bit of a misconception between Brahmanvadis and Mayavadis. Like I've heard some devotees call Shukadev Goswami used to be a Mayavadi, but he was never a Mayavadi. He was focusing on the Brahman effulgence of Krishna. I was wondering if you can explain that a little bit, clear it up.
Yes, Prabhupada explained that. Sometimes he himself would seem to lump them all together, but he explained that a Mayavadi is a person who thinks that even when the supreme, beyond the material, comes into the material world, it takes on a body of Maya. In other words, yes, there was a Krishna, but he had a material body like everybody else. That's what they think. They don't see any difference between the incarnations of God and ordinary living entities. So that's a misconception. It's not just a misconception, it's completely incorrect. What we would call Brahmavadis, there's a nice verse actually that describes Sukadeva Goswami. Let's see if I can remember it. It says, Sahaputra Mahayogin It's been a while. Ekantam, yeah, it says that he was a monist. That's the gist of that verse. He was Vyasadev's son. He was completely detached, and he was a monist. In other words, thinking it's all one. There's a spiritual reality, but it's all one. There's no distinction, differentiation of forms, etc. So that's an innocent, in his case, understanding. And the proof is when they come in contact with the personal philosophy, if they're actually innocent, then they accept it, which he did in his case. By hearing the pastimes of Krishna, he became attracted. Those who are dyed in the wool Mayavadis, just like that, what was the name of that, Vishaka would remember, that doctor that Prabhupada was living with in the beginning in New York, or he would stay in his ashram? Mishra, right, Dr. Mishra. He was a dyed in the wool Mayavadi. Even though he had the association of a pure devotee of the Lord and heard Bhagavad Gita explained by him and heard, he still held on to his Mayavad misunderstanding. So that's the distinction. When they come in contact with the personal philosophy, they come in contact with the pure devotee of the Lord. We heard several verses back the potency of associating with devotees. But you have free will. You can resist that potency. So he had the potent association of Srila Prabhupada, and many of his followers were attracted to Srila Prabhupada, but he himself was dyed in the wool Mayavadi. He would not surrender. Anything else? Who was first? I wasn't watching. Okay, Ramenjana.
Yeah, you were mentioning about the spiritual master. So in the Nectar of Instruction, I'm trying to understand this points, but it says in there that there's different types of spiritual masters: neophyte, intermediate, and advanced.
Don't cover the top. Hold it by the handle. Yeah.
So there's different types of, neophyte, intermediate, and advanced devotees that are spiritual masters. But in Nectar of Instructions mentions one should accept that Uttama Adhikari as a spiritual master. So in that connection, what does it mean to accept him and what is it Uttama Adhikari in that connection?
So the thing is, how does a conditioned soul, not even on the spiritual path, know who is an Uttama Adhikari? Did the Prabhupada's disciples, the first devotees that joined ISKCON, did they know he was an Uttama Adhikari? Obviously not, otherwise they wouldn't leave him to clean up. So it's not so easy to recognize who's an Uttama Adhikari. Therefore, the preaching is usually done from the Madhyam platform. That's stated also. There's those 3 verses from the Navayogendras to Maharaj Nimi that the Prakrita Bhakta is the one who sees the Lord in the temple, worships him, but can't distinguish between devotees. Then the Madhyam, Ishwari Taradineshu, Baliseshu, Dashachusa, Prema Maichikapopiksha, Yakaroti Samadhyama, sees 4 distinctions: the Lord, the devotees, the innocent, and the demons, and deals with them accordingly, tries to love the Lord, deals friendly with the devotees, preaches to the innocent, and avoids the demons. The Uttama Adhikari doesn't make distinctions between devotee and non-devotees. He said everybody's engaged in Krishna service except me. So generally speaking, those who are on that platform, they're not preaching. So even when they're on that platform, they come down to the Uttama platform to make distinctions so they can preach. I'm sorry, to the Madhyam platform so they can make distinctions and preach. So it's not easy to recognize who's an Uttama Adhikari. You see, it's not that easy. It's not that when you become an Uttama Adhikari, let's say you make progress to the Uttama platform, that a light goes off or you walk around with a halo over your head. It's not so simple. It's not so easy. Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, not so easy to understand. Many of our acharyas remained covered, so to speak. Just like the Lord himself, Chaitanya, Chanda, Avatar, covered. He's God, and some devotees recognize it, but he didn't want to be told, and the vast majority of the public didn't know. And even those sannyasis, they didn't know. They thought, who's this crazy sannyasi from Bengal jumping up and down, dancing? Why doesn't he sit down and study Vedanta? And these are very intelligent people. So if intelligent people can't recognize God or recognize Uttama Adhikaris, who's going to recognize? How are you going to know? You're going to walk around and interview everybody? How are you going to know?
Well, I mean, the injunction is there, one should do that. So
Yeah.
it would seem like,
Yes.
if Srila Prabhupada mentions how one should do this, and if one's sincere, one will get the understanding how to do that.
Yes. So again, it's a long topic, but the main point is that if you're not on that platform, it's not easy for you to recognize. So you can't rubber stamp. Like there are some devotees who claim themselves that they're not on the highest platform, but they send people to others that they claim that. How do you know? How do you know? Don't take any initiation from anybody in ISKCON. I know a pure devotee who's living in, Rajput Kaur or whatever. Go there. How do you know that person is a pure devotee? By what criteria? You're not a pure devotee. You say that yourself. I'm not a pure devotee, but I know that this person over there is pure, therefore you should go to them. So that's not the point. Accept somebody who's coming in the cyclic succession. They connect you to their spiritual master who's connected to his spiritual master all the way back to Krishna. That connection is there. So even if that person were to fall down, the connection has been made. And another point is that people think, okay, I don't see any pure devotees in ISKCON. That's their conjecture. But people don't remain on the same platform. Just like you make progress on a daily basis, that person who may have given initiation while he was a Madhyama Adhikari, doesn't mean he stays a Madhyam for his whole life. He can't become an Uttama Adhikari. So there are a lot of misconceptions and presumptions that we could discuss at length. But the point is that you have to take initiation. Tadvidi Pranipatena. You have to take initiation. That's Krishna's recommendation. You must be connected. So if you in your wisdom, you look around and you claim you don't see any pure devotees, all right, I won't take initiation. That's a gamble. That's a risk. But if you know, here's a society that's set up by a pure devotee of the Lord, and if I take initiation from one of his disciples in good standing, then I'm connected to him, then your connection has been made. And through that connection, you're connected to Krishna. Even if, and this is also discussed by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, even if the spiritual master falls down, you stay on the spiritual platform, follow the principles, chant, etc., your connection is there. Okay, it's going a little late, one more and then we have to stop. Purva had his hand up.
This is regarding prasadam, because we're glorifying prasadam, but at the same time we're trashing prasadam. This is not indigenous just to LA, but many temples that I go to. In the old days we used to have sacred throw-out. I'm finding a lot of prasadam either going in the garbage or in the recycling area, plates of the Sunday feast. There are offenses against the holy name, just like there's offenses against the holy name, there's also offenses against prasadam. We should honor prasadam and we should respect it. It's very important for our spiritual cultivation.
Absolutely. And I know, I was there with you in the early days when we used to have sacred throw-out, but we got busted a lot. Because to not be offensive, you would necessarily take that prasadam somewhere where animals could eat it or put it in the ocean or some other body of water. We got busted a lot doing that. And that's why it gradually stopped. The temples would send out bags and bags full of, leftovers. And we would take it to the ocean and dump it in the ocean and we got busted.
What I'm saying is on our own level we can do our part. Just like there's that famous story of Hridayananda on a morning walk with Prabhupada. I don't know exactly where it was, but he saw a plate of prasadam left over from the Sunday feast, said, eat it.
That's one point, but Prabhupada also said don't eat it. Because I know I was there in Henry Street, we were so lusty for prasadam, after the Sunday feast, whatever was left, even on the guest plates, we used to eat. Of course, we were very selective. Half a samosa, half a samosa, whatever you liked. If you liked the sabji, then you would eat that. If there was samosa, you would eat that. So, Gopi Paranadhana Prabhu, the temple president at the time, he wrote to Prabhupada. I'm sorry, Gopi Janaballava. Gopi Janaballava Prabhu. He wrote to Prabhupada and he told him what was happening. These brahmacharis, they're eating off the guest plates, and da-da-da. And Prabhupada wrote back. He didn't write back and say, it's prasadam, it's okay. He said, stop. Tell him to stop. Because he knew that we were just doing it out of lust, not out of honoring prasadam. So there are different nuances, facets. But the point about sacred throat is very well taken. I remember when I first came here, Brigapati Prabhu used to save all the leftovers. And when he would go out on Sankirtan, he would go to Target, parking lot and leave it, or someplace like that and leave it for the birds to eat. So, but the problem is, the problem with modern life is that we don't have any animals. See, in Vedic culture, you live cheek and jowl with the animals. You have pigs, you have cows, you have horses, whatever. So whatever leftover is there, and first of all, they would minimize leftovers. They would cook just, close to the right amount. But whatever is left, you could give to the animals to eat. We don't have any animals here. Most devotees, if they have an animal, it's a cat or a dog. So that's also, yeah. Yeah, but that's also risky. I remember we used to do that in Henry Street. We figured Prabhupada used to live on the Bowery, right? So what better place to take leftovers than the Bowery? So we used to take all the leftovers down to the Bowery. You used to come on Harinam there. And we would feed, but what happens on the Bowery? Most of them are drunks. Their sense of taste is completely gone. So they would take something that we would consider wonderful, something we would die for. They would eat it and they would spit it out. And they were so offensive, they would actually throw it at us. So after a while, we stopped going. We stopped going to the Bowery because it was just, they were offensive. They would spit out the prasadam. They would throw it at us. Get out of here, you, like that. Yeah.
Which we served, and they lined up like ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
They took the prasadam. They said, in fact, they asked us, "How do you make this?" They had a lot of very interesting, and they took magazines and so forth. But the important point is that there were plenty of people to eat it.
Yeah.
In fact, when we ran out, they were very upset.
Yeah.
So
they still do that here.
There are negatives, like you just mentioned. There's a negative side, but there's also a positive side.
But they still do that here. They
Pardon?
still have prasadam distribution.
What?
Here in LA, they still have prasadam distribution.
Oh,
Mukta
do they?
Charita, yeah.
Who's doing?
Mukta Charita.
Oh, okay, fine.
All the leftovers from the restaurant.
Well,
yeah.
that's a useful.
But in general, it's Kali Yuga, and people are not very cultured. They even come here, they get a free feast, and they throw their plates on the sidewalk. I mean, come on. They don't even have the decency to take it to the garbage. So it's Kali Yuga. What can you do? Anyway, we should stop. We're getting late. Grantarashimi Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
One point I didn't get to make was that every day I see Shama Sundar bringing back the lunch for Shama. He puts it on the pot washers area.
Yeah.
It goes down the drain, even more.
Yeah, that's not good.
So we have to do something.
So you should say something.
And then
You're on the spot, you should say something.
Sachin Nandan is such